What if you could stay young forever? There is a place nestled along the Columbia River between the majestic Selkirk and Monashee Mountains where people do just that. Discover Revelstoke, BC, a place where people's spirits, mind, and soul remain childlike. So what is it about this place and the people who choose to live here that fosters this fountain of youth? Meet local athletes, photographers, artists, and community leaders as we learn about what drives their passions. Discover what about their craft keeps them youthful and why Revelstoke is the perfect playground. This is Revelstoke, and here the journey is not just a destination, it's an everlasting awakening.
Peter Pan syndrome. I live by it. It's my motto. I think some people came up with this term as like a derogative way to say that people didn't want to take responsibilities for being an adult and all these things, but I see it more as like to stay happy, if that's what embracing, like just keep doing things that you've been doing your whole life from your younger days, and you bring these things up until now because they make you happy. I don't see any problem with that. I think it's actually a great way to live your life. You don't have to be too stuck in the adult box.
Peter Pan syndrome. If you've seen Peter Pan, it's about maybe living in a land where you stay forever young, like land of youth. But more applicable to me, maybe just the idea of, staying young at heart and being joyful, even as I mature and get older, and trying to stay maybe just as active.
I feel like I've heard before, like the idea is to stay young for as long as possible. Do the things that you love. Hopefully you don't have enough responsibilities tying you down. I feel like it's the secret. It's a fountain of youth. Keeps you even just like mentally playful, you know. It's about being playful, not being too serious, and I think that's kind of the real ticket to staying young. Escape from reality to go do the things that you want to go do.
It's to live young forever. It's to stay young. As I said, I don't know if my body is really following that, but the mind is there. The mind is there for sure. You know, I moved out west to pursue the things that I love, like skateboarding and snowboarding and the outdoors. Everyone shares that syndrome together here, you know. Everyone comes from different places of the world to come and share what they really like to do.
Refusing to grow up, but just being young at heart, I guess. Yeah, keep being active, and age is just a number. Seems to be a common thing in British Columbia.
Everyone here has it. Everyone in Revi has it. We're all under the Peter Pan flu. I guess it means that you just don't want to grow up, doing all the fun things instead of doing things you don't think are fun. I have Peter Pan syndrome. I think whenever you like go and you talk to your friends that like don't live in ski towns or like in these kind of beautiful outdoorsy places, you kind of get a feeling that you're different. Yeah, you go out and you see your friends in like the city or whatever, and they're all talking about their office jobs, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm on EI. I'm skateboarding.
See what it's like. I think you'll find that the weather is nice.
oh my God, this is it's the best place ever, but don't tell anyone. It's not that good. It's all right. Just by being welcoming, you see a lot of people cheer each other on. It's very supportive. You'll always see girls trying a new trick and somebody giving tips or holding hands or...
The small town vibe, but there's also the greatest backyard in Canada, I would say. The mountains, the lakes, yeah, it's just wonderful all year round.
You know, it's a ski town. It brings everyone together. Everyone comes from different background, and we're all here together to share things that we love. And for that, I think it keeps us young to do the things we love and share that. I think that keeps me feeling youthful, and I think it attracts that kind of vibe in town.
The skateboard culture in Revelstoke is pretty unique, but I think like many mountain towns, you get a mix of people that say snowboard, ski, surf, older people, younger people, all ages, all demographics that have tried a skateboard at one point in their life. I really like that because you get people with a real kind of surfy riding style. It's not so street oriented, but people who love to just ride for the flow or the feeling similar to snowboarding, similar to skiing or surfing, that kind of thing. But Revelstoke is definitely a place where you have so many opportunities to do all kinds of sports. And that's what brings so many people here is the beauty of the nature and the snow and the mountains. And yeah, there's just so many different opportunities because of that. There's like an endless list of sports you can do, endless list of activities outside you can do. That's what brought me out west ultimately is I think when I traveled, I saw people with a very outdoor and active lifestyle. And I said, that's what I want for my life. You know, I don't want to be stuck away in a room watching TV or, you know, wasting my life away. I'd like to be out there experiencing things.
Moved out west, always wanted to surf, so moved to Tofino, lived there for a few years, and then that's when my buddy called me and he was like, you know, room in this house, Revelstoke. You know, I've already had a few rainy winters and was popping off in Revelstoke. That was 2019, 2020. I moved back. It has a great skate park. I feel like it's another reason that keeps bringing me back. Like I love the pool. I've traveled such far distances to go skate some vert, so it was really nice to have some vert to skate in town. And the hill is just phenomenal as well. So trying to snowboard as much as I can while I can.
Well, Revelstoke, it's funny, I lived here about 10 years ago. I came for a snowboard season, and Revelstoke wasn't as charming back then, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I like this place. And I did a winter season and left. And then I find myself, you know, 10 years later, I got a job at CMH, and I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I'm gonna move to Revelstoke. It makes sense. And yeah, the community is so great, you know, like there's lots of cool things to do. There's like the outdoors, like the mountain, the skate park, like, I don't know, the freedom of doing everything. Like there's so much fun activities to do. And yeah, I think the people really make the place in Revelstoke.
I had a good buddy who was living here and helping take care of the property. And we were best friends when we lived in Kelowna together. I skateboarded a lot with him. And he always told me, Andrew, you're living in BC because of the mountains, because of the snow. Why are you in Kelowna? And he was like, dude, come on out to Revelstoke. You always talk about living in a small mountain town, being in that environment. You love the mountains. You love that scene. And I slowly started to visit, and it really did sink in. No, that's why I moved out west here. That's why I came here. And it wasn't too much longer that I started to move all my stuff out here and stayed. I never was exposed to so many different sports at such an amazing level until I came here. And then you see, okay, this person's doing this person's doing this. I tried the dirt biking, the backcountry skiing, the snowmobiling, all these things that I just would watch on a television before. Now I knew people who were doing them. I was like, this is amazing.
So it's pretty amazing. There's a big crew of people with different backgrounds, skiers, snowboarders, fishermen, and we all come here and skate together and talk about our common interests, different interests.
I live here because I can usually always be doing something pretty fun. And my friends, I've made like the coolest friends here, and I can do all those fun things with my cool friends. And some kid comes and talks to you, you're just like, oh yeah. You know, and we all have the same things to say to each other, and that kind of makes me feel young. All got the same stuff on your mind: snow, food, skate, bike, whatever it is. There's a new revival of people every year too. So like you get all these like really fresh new faces who are just super pumped to be here. And that's like really refreshing. Cause then you kind of dust your crust off, you know, you're like, I've been here a while, I know what's up. And then these like new faces come and they don't know what's up, and figuring out what you're into here. Everyone's really supportive, everyone's really friendly. Probably one of the friendlier skate parks I've ever been to. When the skate park like opened up, there's like a big crew of girls that kind of started all skating together. And I had skated for like years before that. And I was like constantly the only girl at the skate park, and I thought it would always be that way. And then all of a sudden, like tons of girls, and that made a huge difference. It was way more fun.
I heard that there was girls' skate night, and that's really what like ignited like the stoke in me. I was like, wow, a bunch of girls that shred, that sounds cool. The girl skate community is huge. Like, it's crazy, you know, there's about like 20, 25 girls that ride, and every year it seems like the crew is growing, and yeah, it's very, very cool to see.
You go to parks sometimes and there'll be, you know, just like maybe, I don't know, 10% of girls, but in Revy, a lot of times it's 50-50. Sometimes there's even more girls than guys. I think, yeah, in a place where there's a lot of action sports, people are just, I think, game to do things that are a bit more difficult or a bit more extreme. The skate culture here is, in Revy, in my opinion, it's a bit of a unicorn in the sense that, you know, I think the stereotype for skate cultures is like grunge and you know, intimidating and just a bit like antisocial. But here, I think it's the most welcoming park I've ever seen. But I think it also shows, I think the community in Revelstoke is like that to start with, and it just reflects at the skate park. Feel like my age would ever be like, oh well, I should stop doing this because my age. There was just a guy here actually that, I don't know, maybe he was in his 50s, skateboarding. I think, you know, if you're active your whole life and you never stop, you can keep skateboarding for as long as you want. Whenever you feel your age being like, you know, putting some sort of challenge in your life, whether it's like, you know, you're not feeling as strong, you're not feeling as coordinated, or maybe you're not feeling as flexible, it's a good motivation to keep those things alive in your life. So, you know, if you're showing up to a session I don't know, you're not feeling like your legs can hold up, it's a good reminder to like, well, maybe you should like work out a little bit more just so you can keep playing.
Skateboarding makes me feel young some of the time. Other times it makes me feel old when you take some falls or when you take some slams. But it keeps me wearing skate shoes and like, you know, things that I did when I was a kid, you know, like most adults with a serious job, they're not gonna wear skate shoes, wear a certain style of clothing. And I enjoy that. I like having a certain style. I like doing tricks and I like to be creative and to play. Like it's 100% you're playing a game and it becomes more technical as you become older and a little stronger, a little more capable, and you're able to do higher level tricks, but it's a game, you know, you're playing, you're laughing, you're commenting on other people's tricks, and that's a blast. That brings some joy, I think, to anybody, right? None of us like getting old. Our bodies breaking down as we slam on sports or you know, learning to have to work out more or maintain our bodies. But yeah, growing up, I think you need to mature in some way, but I think you still hope to hold on to some kind of joy and some kind of youthfulness.
Young at heart for sure. It makes my body feel old every day. I love skateboarding. You know, I thought I was too old to skateboard. And when I moved to Revelstoke, I was like, what am I talking about? Everyone is in their like 20s and 30s, and you know, like the parents are actually not just there to watch. The parents are there and they come skate with their kids. And
first of all, I have to stay fit to be able to keep up. So constantly trying to, you know, take care of my body, eat well, keep pushing, and hopefully be doing it for as long as I can. And now it's kind of coming full circle. I have a little boy now, so I want to be there when he's older, skating with him too. So that's my next goal. Your body's definitely aging, but that's part of the growing up phase. You get to adapt and just change your lifestyle or whatever. But the more you grow old, the more you grow up too. So I don't know. It's kind of related, I would say. Might change my trick selection a little bit, but hopefully I can still roll around for sure. Depends on the day, but I still like to think I'm as in good shape as I was in my 20s, and I actually feel almost more comfortable on my board now than I ever was. So
this is a funny time to talk to me. I started going to the gym, stopped eating sugar, stopped drinking, and I feel like just this last 2 weeks, like my skating is like 1,000 times better. And like just generally like all energy levels. I don't know if it's like age that affects it. Sometimes you say it like, oh, I'm old, I can't do this. But actually, I think it's just like staying healthy and getting on top of that is probably gonna help in the long run.
Like I'm looking towards that older generation that's also kind of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Like Tony Ava, the first guy in a pool to do a frontside air and still skating. Tony Hawk just dropped that new video clip yesterday. I've also grown up with a crowd of skateboarders who are around that same age group. And I guess it made me never feel old on any one of my birthdays whenever I'd see, you know, I'm turning 25 or whatever it is. Like, I'm old now, but then I look at my friends who are skating in their 50s, and they're probably at that moment better than I'll ever be. You guys are OG dudes. And it just always made me like think like, wow, I have so many more years to look forward to. And they're still riding. So yeah, I think I'll still be doing it in 20 years.
growing up, I think it's when you stop doing the things that you like. Like growing up to me sounds like responsibilities, and it sounds like you're forgetting your passions and your friends and, like, you know, to focus on adult things. I think, you know, you can be growing old and doing all these things, you know, but you don't have to grow up. And I'd like to grow old and still do all the things I can. I mean, to an extent, hopefully, you know, the body still follows. But yeah, I want to grow old, not grow up, you know.
skateboarding because I always wanted to skateboard when I was younger, and I just never really committed. And sometimes I would show up to skate parks, and it would just, I don't know, it'd be a lot of people, it'd be intimidating. I just felt like I was always like, ended up like hiding in a corner trying things, or hoping to go early in the morning so nobody would see me being a beginner. and then at one point I turned 35 and I just stopped caring about all these things, and I just went for it.
I'd say I was about like 10 or 11 years old maybe when I started. In my hometown, actually, I was playing soccer, and they just built this skate park right by the soccer field, and I kept getting distracted by looking over there. A buddy of mine, I think his brother had a skateboard at home, and I borrowed it for a summer because he wasn't using it, so rolled around on that for a whole summer, and then decided to get my own and never looked back.
When I was really young, I got into skateboarding at the local skate park at home. I was about 13, 14. A lot of my friends from high school were skateboarding at that time, and I was the kind of chick that hung out with all the dudes, so I started skateboarding, and yeah, like picked it up for a few years at home. I got inspired by all the homies that were hanging there. You know, it was a big crew of us. There was maybe like, I don't know, like 20, 30 kids that would hang at the park, and that's where it all started.
I always wanted to skateboard, but I could never get it. My parents just didn't appreciate the culture, so it wasn't until I got a job and bought my first skateboard when I was 17. I guess just seeing it on TV, like when the X Games were on TV, around the time that the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games came out. I was like young in the 90s at the time, so skateboarding was like popping off. I'm also kind of in a rural area, so I didn't really get to see it so much until it was in the mainstream media. I just loved it, I guess, right from the start, and yeah, I'm stoked I'm still doing it.
I got into skateboarding when I was pretty young, like maybe 10 or 11. I remember my parents went over to a friend's house, and he had an extra board, and I just he let me use it. It was an old birdhouse board, like super old. And he let me use it, and I remember I was just like trying to hop around on it, had no idea how to use it. And he just saw that I loved it, and at the end of the day of their visit, he just said, "Here, take the board." Gave me a fresh whole setup, and ever since then I was like, that's sick. I remember this guy just gave me a skateboard. So ever since then I remembered I got into it, had a skateboard, tried it in high school, had buddies that skateboarded. And it stuck with me, man. Somebody gave me this, and it was just encouraging, right? Generosity definitely affected me because, like, if I see somebody skating and they don't have a deck or they really want to, I've given away boards because I'm like, I know that's what got me into skateboarding, and I love it. Really fulfilling to me. I love the riding, but now I tend to really enjoy when I get to see other people experience it and get to bring other people along, maybe on adventures that they wouldn't otherwise get to experience, right? That's super fulfilling to me. And you see other people just light up, get super pumped off the things that you enjoy too. So that's contagious, man. I get super fired up seeing that kind of thing. So
Just got the itch for it. You know, repetitive stuff. I like it. Skateboarding's repetitive. It's like the hardest thing in the world. That's what makes it special for me, that it's like the hardest thing I've ever tried, and I still do it, and I still try at it. I think when someone brand new gets on a skateboard, they get it. They're like, oh, oh, okay, how does everyone do that? It's a very wobbly thing.
The more work you put into it, the greater the reward is. So you're gonna battle something for so long, and then you eventually get it. It's a pretty great feeling. A creative outlet, there's no real guideline to. You can do whatever you want. You can wear the clothes you want, paint your board the way you want it. It's very, there's no set schedule, no guidelines, so it really allows you to be creative every day. I guess that's what I really like about it.
When I was trying to get on the mani pad, and then I finally did that, I was like, whoa. You know, no one was there, and no one could see. No one, like, you know, obviously, like, and it was just like, just for me, and I was like, whoa, that was the best. Even just the other day, I just like landed a trick playing a game of skate that like the other two guys didn't land, and I was like, sick. Oh, yeah. It felt so good.
it's probably just the first time you ever hit the pool coping in the bowl. Just do the little and ride away successfully. You're like, that's insane. I never got into bull riding until I was more in my adult years, and now I love it. It's really sick, really fun.
Work on some tricks, just really get in your head and think more about, I don't know, your foot positioning and angles and progress in a different way, but then you'll land a sick trick and you look around and none of your homies are there to see it. So I feel like skating with the homies is 100 times better.
Because I feel like the memories that you're making are the times that you're just hanging out with your friends. And that's really just the fun of it, just hanging out with your friends. Otherwise, it's still nice to enjoy as you're on meditation, but it's better enjoyed with others.
Skateboarding is an escape. I forget about everything. It's like, it's the greatest way to free your mind. You know, I come here, like, either I feel good or, you know, I'm going through something that day, or completely frees my mind of everything. I crank the tunes really loud and just get going. I think the community really makes skateboarding special to me because I have met the coolest people through this sport. It really brings everyone together.
Doesn't matter how many times you fail. It's about how quickly you get back up and
to do hard things and to be able to take falls and get back up again. I think that's actually really healthy. Like for anybody, whether you can say that from a physical standpoint or from an emotional and a mental standpoint, I think the ability to do hard things and get back up and try again is really healthy. And you learn how much your body can take. Sometimes you push too far and you learn the hard way, but eventually you learn, okay, these are my limits. I need to warm up, I need to stretch, I need to whatever. And I really enjoy that. It still is dangerous, but you learn to be careful and to be smart within that, right? And it's exciting.
Rest. I remember like one summer I was working and I was like tree planting, and I'd come to the skate park like every day after work and just like destroy myself even further. And yeah, that sucked. Should have rested, but I didn't. And then I really like ruined my money-making capabilities out there. I thought that was worth it. Yeah. I had a really good, that was the best summer ever.
I mean, in Revy, we have to keep up with the sunlight, I guess, so always trying to go skateboarding before the sun goes down, and then I can always do my stuff later, but I definitely will prioritize having fun on my board and my friends than some other stuff.
The laundry, or actually the sleep, because if we're really sending it, we're getting good videos, so I'm riding all day, and then I'm staying up checking out the footage all night long, and then the next day I gotta wake up early and maybe ride again. That's probably the most neglected thing, because when you get good clips, you gotta look at them, you gotta edit them, you gotta let the world know you're getting some amazing snow or some amazing footage. So that's probably the biggest thing.
I turned 40 this year, and I gotta say it's like downhill. Kind of fell downhill a bit. There was a lot of things I needed to adjust in my health. Skateboarding, like any action sports, you could fall, you could hurt yourself, but the beauty of the things is that you can wear protection. So, you know, during my learning curve, I definitely wore helmets, wrist guard, elbows, knee pads, and they really saved my body for this whole progression time, and that made it worth it because I did want to learn and I knew there was a risk, so I just took some steps. And obviously, yeah, you're always gonna take a bail here and there trying stuff. You can't wear a bubble suit. That would be nice though. But it always the risk because it's just so much fun.
When I skateboard, I still feel like a kid, but then there's also other responsibility in life that, you know, keeps you moving.
I wish I got into this when I was like 8 years old.
Never stop trying. Kind of just made me appreciate very, very small feats. Like, yeah, but yeah, just like very little things can just like give you like the most amount of excitement and energy. And
once you start riding really hard at a high level, you gotta be fit, man. And for many years, I could bounce back like a rubber band. And eventually you stop bouncing back like a rubber band and things start to break. It is very hard when you can't ride and all you want to do is ride. So that's all I'd say is go for a run, do some push-ups, whatever that looks like. And so you can keep riding till we're 50.
Life well lived is to really enjoy the things that make you feel alive. You know, the things that you enjoy, your passion, sports, music, skateboarding.
A life full of doing the things you want to do with the people you want to do it with. Something to look back and not have regrets.
You're really getting the good goods out of your existence.
To live the life to the fullest, you know, fill it with opportunities, meaningful things, great people.
Maybe a little bit of fighting against the age thing, trying not to, don't get old.
To not forget where you come from and to not forget what you like and still do that. I think that's what a life well lived means to me.